Welcome to Mr. Wallace's video tutorial on answering the exam style question, technical drawing module for the IGCSE Cambridge. Now, this question is showing you orthographic views, a front view and a side view of what we call a marker post for the start line of a sprint race. Now, the marker post is made out of polystyrene. That's the material that you'll generally find inside a box for a TV or any electrical good to stop it from breaking. And what they've done, they've given you some measurements, and they've also given you the AF measurement of the octagon, which you should be familiar with, which takes the shape of the top of the marker post. What you see here, these lines, they're called centre lines. So this one here is obviously the centre between here and there, and this one here is the centre between here and here. And the centre line, as you can see, goes all the way down to the bottom. Now, they've given you a few measurements, but not all of them. So what I'd recommend with a question like this is actually just to go and have a look at what measurements you can actually add using your common sense and the reference points from this one. They've shown you this measurement here of 100. And actually, if we put our drawing board, our T-bar into place, we can actually see that it's probably referring to... it's a bit of a tricky one, actually. Probably the intersection... here, 1 and 2. You can see these two intersections. Now, unfortunately, the exam board haven't drawn it very accurately because actually the two lines, they're slightly out. But we're going to assume here that this 100 is referring to the distance between the tip of my pencil and the tip of this ruler. More importantly, we're going to look at this as a reference point. Now, if this is 200, the measurement between these 2 points, we're going to assume that that is equal to that. So if that's 200, this whole distance here therefore is going to be 400. I'm just going to add this onto the drawing just to help me later on. 400. Okay, we have this measurement here as 200, that's already given in the other drawing. We've got the height, which is 400. We've got this height, which is 200. And this we should be okay with because it's a 400 AF, which means it's constructed from a square, which is 40 centimetres across. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, if these measurements are millimetres, are they expecting me to draw this on a page which is A3? The answer is no. What it's asking you, in the space on the right, draw an isometric view of the marker post to a scale of 1 to 5. Now that means every measurement on here, we are dividing by 5. So we know 400 divided by 5 is 80. So this measurement here, 80, we're going to put that as the scale measurement. 100 divided by 5 is 20. 200 divided by 5 is 40. 150 divided by 5 is 30. 200 divided by 5, here we've got a 40. 400 divided by 5 is 80. Sorry, didn't see that. It is 80. 200 divided by 5, we also have 40. Now, you'll notice that it's asking us to draw an isometric view. So we're, in essence, taking a 2D shape and turning it into a three-dimensional shape on the other half of the page. Now, one recommendation I'd always make is if you're being asked to draw in 3D and you're not sure about the size, always start from the bottom and work your way up to ensure you have enough space on the page. Now I'm going to look at this measurement here in particular, just very quickly again. So I'm focusing on this measurement here of 400 and the upward measurement of 40. So we're going to go, we've got a scale measurement here of 80, which is this length, and 40 up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come across here 80. So using common sense, we know if we go across from 12, we take 8 from 12, that leaves us with 4. We have a measurement here of 80 millimeters, which is what we're looking at here. This is this line. We then need to go up. Okay, we need to go up 40 from both of these points. Now this becomes very easy. You can just use your 45-degree set square, find your points, and go up 40 millimeters, 4 centimeters. You should be able to do your conversions. Okay, I've gone up a little bit too far. Erase. and cap. Okay, now just to be on the safe side, I'm also going to draw this line across here, which is the connecting point between these two. I'm going to use a 30 degree, but I'm going to use this one as my starting point, and this one as my finishing point, and any mistake that I've made, I can now readjust that. Now, I'm now going to look at this this measurement over here, which is 40, and again goes up 40. So in theory, what I do over here is I go up 40 in this direction. I'm going to read backwards here, but 12 take away 4 is 8. We're going to go to the 8, and we're going to also go from here, 12 to the 8, and then we're going to join, ensuring that this is still a 4 centimetre line. Okay, so we've got the basics. This is actually the base. So looking over here, this rectangle here is this one, and this rectangle is this one. Now we need to start thinking about our upward direction. Now what you'll notice here is actually there's a slight indentation here. So we've got 150 and 200. So actually this is only 150 wide, but this is 200 wide. On a scale, we're talking 430. So taking 30 from 40 leaves us 10, which is 5 either side. So what we're going to do on our drawing, on our 30 degree line, we're going to take off 5 millimeters. I'm going to make this a bit bigger so you can see. 5 millimeters here, and 5 millimeters from the other edge. I've got 2 marked points, A and B. Now from these points, I'm going to go at 30 degrees off in this direction, and the same applies to the second one. There we have it. And we're just going to leave these for now. I'm also going to draw one from the edge of the shape across, and we can use these as reference points later. Now, the next tricky thing to do is to get this tapered line coming up. We need to look at the distance. So the distance we're looking at is a distance of 400, not to scale, and 80 on our scale. So we're going to go up 80 from the midpoint of this line. But it's not going to be this one we're going to go up from, it's going to be this one here. So we find the midpoint of this line, and before we're able to do that, we're going to have to finish off the back of our shape using our 30 degree line. And we're going to measure this line here, and also this one here. We're going to find the midpoint, and then we're going to go up 80 either side. So we've got a line of 8 centimeters or 80 millimeters. I'm going to find the midpoint, and the midpoint, and we're going to go up 80 from either one. Now, from this line, we're going to connect to the end, and from this line, we're going to connect to the end of this one. So if you watch, now this needs to be done freehand because there's no particular movement. And I've just realised actually we're not going straight from here, we need to come out, because if you look here, they don't meet these two. There's actually a distance between them of 100, which is 20 to scale, so it's going to be 10 either side, which is 1 centimetre. So the best thing to do here, get your ruler in place, find a mark, one this way, one this way. Same on this side, one this way, one this way. And then we're going to join, as mentioned before, from here to here, from here to here, from here to there, and finally from there to there. Now some of these lines obviously will be invisible later, but it's good to get the structure in place. Simple case now, again using the 30 degree, we connect, and we connect. Okay, so we've got actually now, the base of what we might call our isometric shape of this marker post. Okay, do a little bit of tidying up, and now we're ready for the top section. Now, we're going to use this line as the baseline for our top section, but what you'll see here is this top section actually comes further across. We have a measurement of 80, which we can assume just follows up, so we've got a line of 80. So what we need to do from this centre point, we're going to draw 4 either way at 30 degrees. Again, we're going to make sure we do this properly. So I'm going to find my centre point. My 8 is at my centre point, so I'm going to go all the way here. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the 4. And the same the other way. So from 8 to 12, that gives us 4 centimetres either way. And I'm going to do exactly the same on the back. If I zoom in a bit, you'll be able to see this a bit more clearly. So you can have a go. So we're going to go from 8 to the 4, and from 8 to the 12. Now, looking at the measurements, we see this now goes up 40. So from all 4 of these corners, we're going to go up 40. And before doing anything, though, I will join them up. Okay, then the upwards 40. We've got this one, 4, this one, 4, we've got this one, 4, and from the bottom we also have 4. We join those in this direction, we join these, and now what we need to do, we need to have a go at doing this octagon. Now you'll see here this is actually going to be very simple. Now this measurement here, if we've got 400, which is the length of our square, this actually here is going to be half of that, so this is going to be 200. 200 not to scale. So if we go for 200 and we divide that by 5, we have 40. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to find the mid point so what I want to do first, actually, before I do the midpoint, is I want to actually make sure that this whole box, because it's 400 AF, should go up 80. So we've got 4, and we're going to go all the way up to the 8. Now the more faint I draw this now, the easier it's going to make my life later on. So we've got the 4 there, and we're going to go all the way up to the 8. If you can see that, should help. And the same over here. 4. Now unfortunately I'm going to have to go off the page ever so slightly. Again, bad move by the exam board for not giving us enough space. I've done that one slightly off actually. Zoom out so you can see what I'm doing. Now lastly, from this point, we're not going to reach the 8 because it's not going to fit on the page, but we can just imagine where that would be. We join. From here, we can't join, but we can assume. And then the most important thing here to do now is to connect. we've now got a box. Okay, this is 80 by 80, okay, or 400 by 400 on the scale. And what I need to do is find a midpoint here. So if I find my midpoint, so this line here was 80, so we're going to go for 4. And here we also have our midpoints already, they've already been defined. On the back we're going to find our midpoint. If that's 8, we can see the 4, that's the midpoint. Now if you look here, we said here this is going to be 200, so we're going to go 100 either side. Okay, so we've got a 200 line. We've got a 200 line here. So we're going to go for 1. There's 1 either side of the midpoint. Then we're going to connect. We're then going to go across 30 degrees. Rub out what we don't need. Did we get one line, which is a freehand line? Should begin to take shape. Actually, want to keep this line. And what I would suggest at this point, if you've got the time, is to go over all of the lines to define them. Okay, there you have your isometric version or interpretation on a scale of 1 to 5 of the object given to you, and that should be worth the marks there. That's taken me about 25 minutes, no, about 19 minutes, and as you can see here, that's probably about right for a question of this calibre.